Fred and Pete. I got Pete first. I was going by the SPCA one day and I thought I'd just drop in and see what little dog was there. I walked in and there was Pete. He came running up to the front of the cage and he wagged and then he looked and walked away from me and that was it. And I thought, what a cute little guy, but he didn't pay much attention to me, so I left. All night long I thought about this little guy and I kind of had made up my mind I'd go back and get him. And so I went back the next day and as soon as I walked in, he came running up to the front of the cage and started scratching at it. And I thought, okay, that's it, I'm going to go and get him. So I went out front and I adopted him. And as we were going out, he walks by and we're going out the front door and there are pillars at the front of the SPCA office and he cocks his leg and pees on the front of it as if he says, I've had it, there you go, bye. And so that's how I got Pete. And he was the funniest looking little fellow, but what a neat little dog he ended up being. Fred and Gemma, I got two of them at this time. It was the anniversary of my mother's death. And I thought, I wonder what little dog she's picked out for me. So I went to the SPCA and I walked in and there are these two little scraggly dogs. And I thought, oh gosh, I didn't want two. I wanted one. So I fretted and I came home and I talked to a friend of mine. I said, you know, I wanted to get a little dog. I thought Mom had picked one out for me. And there's two. And she said, well, what was your mom's sign? And I said, well, she was Gemini. She says, well, that's the twins. So there's your answer. So I went back the next day and I got Fred and Gemma. Now Fred was this little weeny scraggly little fellow. He had no fur and he was nervous as anything. Gemma was a little stressed out, but she was not in as bad shape as Fred. Fred was this nervous little fellow who was so needy that he attached himself to me immediately. And I'd take him out for walks. This is where I met Cynthia, actually. We were walking around, and every time we came to a dog, I would pick Fred up because I didn't know whether he was going to attack the dogs or what he was going to do. So I think I was walking with both of them, actually, Fred and Pete. And I'd have Fred in my arms and Pete beside me, and Cynthia's laughing at my dogs, and I said, what are you laughing at? And she thought, well, they were funny-looking little dogs, and that's how Cynthia and I became friends. And eventually, she decided to write this book, Fred and Pete Go to the Beach.